This episode of the Council of the First Ones was recorded on August 15th, 2021.
Hello, and welcome to another Council of the First Ones. I'm your host, Kelly. Joining me is Sean from Legends of Grayskull. How are you doing, Sean?
I am here. It's been a little rough couple weeks, but hey, I'm always happy to talk Masters again. So thanks for having me back.
And of course, we also have our friend David from adultcollector.org. How are you doing?
Hey, Kelly. Hey, Sean. Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Enjoying all this wonderful heat in Seattle, Washington, and loving this weather.
Oh, so it finally broke, at least in New Jersey. We had a heat advisory all week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we've been getting a lot of smoke, but thankfully that's finally cleared up, at least for now. And so a lot of people are out and just enjoying the weather today.
Yes, instead of online promoting all the hate.
That will never end.
I mean, I really hope it will to some extent with once the next 5 episodes of the Revelation series are released. I really hope that we don't have to spend the next 20, 30 years listening to people complain about how woke the Revelation series is, or people just stop talking about it like they did to a large extent with the Netflix She-Ra series.
I mean, I can't believe the hate that I've seen all month long.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I'm actually glad Facebook and social media wasn't around doing new adventures. It would have definitely killed the brand completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just buried it, launched it into another dimension. I mean, I can't believe some of the things I've been seeing online.
Well, my little joke about it right now is that is the revelation. You find out who your real friends are and who is people that you don't have as much respect for because of what's happening and the amount of vitriol that's out there. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I know everybody loves Masters. It's a cartoon. It's that simple. It's not like it's life or death. It's a cartoon. To some people, it might be life or death. But it really is a cartoon at the end of the day. And, it's a creative thing, and people can be creative to tell that story. And they did get to be creative to tell that story. And I don't know. I mean, like, could it have been different, better, whatever? It depends how much time and effort you put into that. It depends how much brain power you put into it to make it that way. But I felt it was a compelling enough 5 episodes. I need to see the next 5.
Right. I mean, Kevin Smith promised us that he was going to make it adult, which he did. He was going to show us blood and gore. To an extent, we did see it. I mean, yes, in the first episode, He-Man is killed. Guess what? 35 years ago, Optimus Prime was killed on the big screen, and we all survived.
Exactly. And that's something that I did see a meme that did point that out. They're like, okay, so He-Man's not in the show. He's in the beginning of the show, but he's not in the rest of the show. And you mean to tell me that you can't take the idea of they're switching it and having a new cast of characters that could be really fun to watch and bring some energy to the brand and do something a little different to tell a new story, and you won't accept that? And they're like, no. And then it's like, yeah, but Transformers the movie did do that. And you know what? The brand still survived. So,
yeah.
It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't in this day and age. And the only thing I feel, well, no, not only. There's 2 things I feel if they would have done them a little differently, might have helped with what's happening right now. Number one still is, I really wish Kevin Smith wouldn't have said it the way he said it at PowerCon, that made people have expectations going in that were not the way they should have been. He could have said a spiritual successor, or not a continuation, because that was the main thing. So many people were so hung up on that, and they really dug their claws in on that. And it's like, it's a spiritual successor of everything we knew as kids if you enjoyed the brand as a whole, not just Filmation. And then the other thing is, if they would have just released all 10 episodes in one season, I think it would have shut a whole bunch of this down, because we don't know what's going to happen. And that's part of the problem is you have 5 episodes and we're still like, okay, we gotta see that payoff before we can tell all the people that hate it, yeah, now you can go pound sand about this, and
I don't think that was Kevin Smith that split it into the two. I
no,
think that was more Netflix.
no, and I'm not blaming him for that. I'm blaming I'm not saying he lied to me. I'm not doing it. That whole scripting that all that side of the hatred is doing. It's like, if the minute that you start trying to actually talk to them and discuss any problems they have, they go to the script. And that's the thing that drives me up the wall. It's, he lied to me. What did he lie to you about? He said I was going to have a He-Man show. No, he said it was Masters of the Universe. You realize there's more than He-Man in that, right? You realize He-Man is one, yes, a core character, but one character. There's other characters that they can enjoy. There's other, I mean, how often on the original show did you have the spotlight switch from He-Man to somebody else and you got that time? He was always there for the most part. It's kind of nice to see somebody else take over the spotlight and let him kind of go, and here's this part of the story until I get back. See ya, or whatever. And it doesn't offend me. But these people have this script and the hatred script and all this stuff, and it's fueled by clickbait. And then the people that don't want to watch, they jump on that and they take that as that's chapter and verse to them. And then you're just sitting there going, so we can't have an actual conversation of what you did and did not like based on watching the show. I'm not going to watch that. Why not? You want to talk about, well, they told me it was good. It was no good. You're going to believe what somebody said in hearsay. You're not going to actually enjoy it? No. Okay. Then I don't know what to tell you,
I have promise to tell you.
This has happened before in terms of, taking the spotlight away from He-Man. Remember the She-Ra cartoon? I mean, I mean, it was suddenly now it's time for the She-Ra cartoon, and She-Ra's having adventures, and He-Man was still there. But they had to eventually end the Filmation series for He-Man. Right.
I feel like if either one of you have watched the show IT Crowd, there is Roy on the IT Crowd, Chris O'Dowd, great comedic actor. There's one point where he has to field one of the IT calls that comes into his office, and he's trying to tell them how to reboot their computer. And at one point, he gets to the point where he just finally is losing his mind. He goes, "Are you from the past?" Because he's like trying to communicate everything, and they just don't get it. Are you from the past? Do you not understand how a computer works? And I feel like that's what we're having in this case. And it's not like I'm trying to be an elitist, but there's a certain convention that we have in the last 20 plus years of storytelling that I feel they're trying to instill that into this, because these are things we've seen in other places. And some of these things, they set them up. And guess what? There's a payoff later on. They set up certain things, like they set up in the first episodes, the first 5 episodes. There's setups and payoffs even within an episode. Like there'll be a moment where like He-Man does that, I'll go where you go, when he talks to Teela, and then Teela, when she's trying to convince Andra to not be an adventurer because she's been there, but then she sees Andra's going to do, she's like, I'll go if you go, and and there's these little like circular moments within the storytelling, and it's like, after 5 episodes, 5 more on the way. You mean to tell me you can't see Orko isn't dead? Orko is probably going to come back and be something like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. Even Kevin Smith alluded to that.
Yeah.
and some of this, and it's like everybody who keeps screaming they killed Orko, they killed him. When did they kill He-Man a second time? They stabbed
No, they killed
Adam.
Adam.
They stabbed Adam, but that doesn't mean that Adam's dead. It means Adam's wounded. That's all that it means. Like I'm sitting there going, have you people not watched anything in the last 20 years? Like there are setups and payoffs in storytelling, and that's kind of the deal. It's okay. It's okay to have cliffhangers. They're going to be paid off in the next 5 episodes.
And did you actually see them kill Orko? No, we
No.
never saw that. We saw
No.
we saw an explosion. We saw a scarf. We did not see a corpse.
Exactly. So yeah,
Well,
and go ahead, David. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it would have been much better to have all of the episodes released at once, and we've got to keep in mind that a lot of the people who are upset, they're as passionate as we are about Master of the Universe, and they've been hardcore fans for a long time. So there's that, and then of course there's a lot of new people who are watching He-Man for the first time in 30 years, or for the first time, But they're being directed to. I mean, they're going to have their legitimate opinions and whatnot, but yeah, there's definitely this machine on social media generating a lot of hate, and which is unfortunate to see. But for me, it's why engage it. Don't if you join, if you join somebody in the muck and try to wrestle with them, then you're both going to be dirty, is the old expression.
Yeah.
So let them go wherever they need to express themselves, and it's not going to be on the Revelation fans group, because that group is for fans only on Facebook, and we have moderators to keep it clean. But yeah, there are plenty of places elsewise on social media, on YouTube and Facebook and whatnot, for them to express themselves.
Well, I loved what James Ecott did with all this hate going around, where he did the hashtag I love He-Man and hashtag I love He-Man and She-Ra, asking everyone to give positive experiences with the fandom.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the outpouring I saw was amazing. Because I know you did it, Sean, as well as I did, and a whole bunch of other big people in our fandom. And even the little guys and the newbies, they were coming out and promoting the love. So it's still there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, it's a hard time, and it's really weird for me to say that when there's good stuff happening. But like, you have some people coming back to it, and they're seeing it in a different way and going, well, that's not what I saw when I was a kid. Or you have, like David said, there's hardcore fans who want to see a certain version and they're not getting it out of this and stuff. But for me, it's like, I'm somebody that I grew up on this. This was my first thing that I fell in love with as a child. He-Man and everything else was secondary to He-Man for the longest time for me as a child. And the main thing for me watching the new show was always, I want to see progression, because that would be something that would make me happy to see the story advancing. And that's the main thing at the end of the day. For is it advancing in a way that I'm like, oh, this is like they're reading my mind? No. But at the same time, I'm enjoying the fact that here's a new tale, and that's all there is to it. And I feel bad at talking about the hatred of it. Is like, people like James were having a really rough time, because there are like the OGs of the community where they're getting hit with people going, well, I want to know what you think, and if you like it, you're this or you're that. And it's like, those are just people that enjoy it just as much as you. Why are you giving them so much crap about this? I mean, it's like James is one of the nicest people I've ever met in the fandom. Why would you ever try to pull that with that guy? That's horrible.
Yeah.
So, for him to turn it around and do something positive with it, like you said, and on top of that, it was fun because it did with all of this, like there is like a worn out feeling for me right now because of how intense this has gotten in the last month or two. But then like to have that post and then go, let's go back and remember what it was you loved about this. And it did have that like kid at Christmas feeling to do that post for me then, and it's like that's what it should feel. It should feel like, you're always energetic and excited and feeling the creativity of this insane brand that it's everything, I mean, that's great. So I'm really glad he did that. That was a great move on his part.
I mean, I love the husband posting about his wife very first time doing a cosplay, and she decided to go as Orko.
That's
I applauded her.
Yeah, like a buddy of mine, he actually shows up from time to time on Legends of Grayskull. Jesse, he he loves sword and sorcery, but he doesn't go to He-Man often, and I'm just kind of scratching my head with him over the last few years. Like, why is He-Man not on your radar? He's like, well, I'm more like Lord of the Rings and that, and I'm like, but still, like, why? And then he watched Revelation, and now he's like sitting there wanting to talk shop, and I'm like, yeah, now. And I saw him today, and he was even talking to my daughter, and they started talking about it with me. Because my daughter's like, I gotta see Orko. I gotta know what happens. I'm not happy that he's left out right now. And I'm like, but do you think he's dead? No. and the two of them were like geeking out together. I just sat back and I'm like, this is really cool that my best friend and my daughter are sitting there and they're actually like having their moment, talking shop about the new show. And I'm like, this is the good stuff at least. So yeah, that made me happy.
Well, even when I went to the comic book store to pick up the new issue, I must have been there for a good hour just talking to a bunch of people about Revelations.
Nice.
And they were like, wow. And they're like, how do you know the voices? I said, I'm an old timer in the brand. And the owner came out and said, yeah, real old timer. She has her own podcast. I'm like, no. I said, I love this scene when Mothman was busy talking with the current Skeletor. And you could hear the two Skeletors if you listened carefully enough. And I was talking about Scarecrow. I hate to say it, I really love Scarecrow.
Yeah, no, Scarecrow's
awesome. I hope they bring him back in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
I think they will.
Agreed, yeah.
I think they will, because we're going to find, I really doubt that they're going to keep Orko dead. I mean, I kind of think that, and I think I read this on the Revelation fans group as well, that Orko, instead of, just exploding with Scareglow, I think it's more that they were teleported somewhere, and he's going to have his hero's journey and fix whatever problem there is with the magic with his people, that he'll be able to bring his people back.
Yeah,
I'm all for that.
Yeah, he needs his own hero's journey. He's been the sidekick for too long, or the one they needed to make fun of. He needs his own line.
Yeah.
Well, they set up. I've said it a few times. He was never my favorite character growing up, but he became my favorite character in this show. And a lot of that comes from just the fact that they made him relatable to me finally. Because as a kid, I didn't want to see this childlike character. I wanted to just watch He-Man go on adventures, But now it's like you're seeing this character that he typically would be this, he'd mess up all the time, or he's like I said, childlike and all that. And you're seeing him in it, like he's coming around, where now as an adult I can really relate to how he feels, and I'm like, wow, that's, again, I love the writing for that reason. And it's that whole the cliche or whatever they call it, where if you didn't see the body, he's not dead. And I'm sorry, just because his scarf flew off on the wind and they have a little tombstone monument to him there in Preternia, sorry, it doesn't mean anything. There's no body, like that. I believe it. That was a teleportation spell that he put on Scareglow to get Scareglow out of there, and he sacrificed himself to get taken with the spell to make sure his friends could get through. He did not die. And that's, again, that's the, are you from the past? That's that whole thing for me. It's like, have you not seen this before? It's okay, like, oh, I saw one post, R.I.P. Orko, the other day, and I'm just like putting my head in my hands, like, you guys are killing me. Why are you not knowing that this is how it works anymore? So yeah.
Well, going back to my Transformers, another picture I saw online this past week. 2 videotapes. The movie, $50. Optimus Prime dies. The Return of Optimus Prime, which was
Yes.
in the third season, $20.
Exactly. Oh boy. But anyway,
permanent in not permanent in media anymore. It's only permanent in real life.
If Superman can come back, seriously, I mean, that was like the biggest thing in 1992 or whatever, or 91, and it's like, and he still showed back up.
Man.
He might have been wearing a different color for a little while, but he still came back. So maybe Orko might have a different color when he shows up. But I got you off track by doing that. So, the comic, Kelly, the comic. What did you think of issue 2 of the prequel book?
Well, I don't know whether to believe Skeletor's little story to Evelyn. So I guess the writers decided they want to focus more on the Alkea storyline, that Skeletor was from a different dimension instead of the Gar race and a half-brother to Randor, and that he has a kid and his wife. I'm skeptical, like Evelyn. Like, this had to be made up. I can understand Hordak coming in because the Horde Empire was conquering everything that they could see. But I'm skeptical with Evelyn. She doesn't believe him.
Well, I don't know. To me, I think it's pretty clear that from what the writers presented to us, that she didn't believe him, and he said, like, oh, what gave me away? But then you realize that, oh, it was true, because he, at the end, he has he's holding that thing that I believe has his wife's essence in it. And you saw that he was looking at her, and she said goodnight, and it looked just like his wife. So, I think that what they're saying is that, oh no, actually it is true.
I took it like Batman: The Killing Joke. They have the Joker in that one saying, sometimes, like, he gets a little messed up on his own history, and sometimes it's one from column A, one from column B, or whatever. It's whatever he makes up in the moment. And they even did that in The Dark Knight with him doing, want to know how I got these scars? And I kind of viewed it similar to that, where maybe there is some truth to it, maybe there isn't. So I was actually kind of surprised that this issue was like, here's how he got the Havoc staff, by going up against that guy that was calling him slave, and the slave driver guy in the book. And I was like, that was not how I expected that to be. I always looked at that as an ancient artifact that he either like co-opted or stole or something. Instead, there it
Right.
is. Here's your origin for at least for revelations for the Havoc staff, perhaps. And I got to admit, though, the one part that really I just kind of sat there and I looked at the panel for longer than the other panels was when, spoiler for anybody who hasn't read it, but you get to see the moment when he comes home and his wife and his child are dead on the floor. And I was like, that's in a He-Man book. That's definitely not what I expected out of that story.
Yeah. That was a big shocker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I didn't personally care for the story and the origin they came up with. I honestly felt like that whole thing of, oh yes, I was a slave, and one day I rose up and decided to, I decided I had enough, and I'm going to fight my oppressors and lead my people to freedom. And I thought, haven't we seen this like 100 times in various movies and shows and whatnot? But I don't know. And then you see like, oh, actually he's, he's from this other planet, and it just happens to be a planet full of people with skull heads. And there's the skull head peasants and the skull head children running around, and it just felt really off. I mean, when you see like this marketplace full of skull-headed people, I thought of the Filmation cartoons and how you would occasionally see the markets full of people, and I thought, this is like some really twisted version of that. Like, here's this, he comes from a planet with all these nice people that have skull heads, just like he does, instead of, the much cooler origin of, yeah, I was Keldor, and then my face was melted off, but Hordak saved my life and made me who I am. And
I mean,
go
in
ahead.
my opinion, I think if they went and used it as Demo Man and then melted this storyline using Demo Man when they go back to save Keldor, then bringing that demon and merging him with Keldor to create Skeletor, then I could buy it a little more.
Yeah, well, and I mean, at least, with like the mini comic story, you've got him coming here for the purpose of bringing his people there to conquer the planet, and they come from another dimension. And in this comic story, they came from some other planet, and yeah, it's sort of kind of maybe believable. But reading this prequel series, it makes me think, like, does this have any relevance at all other than the sword, to the actual Revelation cartoon? Are we going to see references in the following 5 episodes that are from the prequel comics, or is it really, again, aside from the sword, is it all pretty much entirely separate? Because I feel like there's a lot of references, a lot of good stuff in the cartoon series, but this comic book series just kind of seems like, oh, we're just gonna put something together, on the fly. But that's just my impression.
I thought the first issue did a pretty good job with making it its own thing. And that made me excited for the second issue. What surprised me the most was I didn't expect it to be almost wall-to-wall Skeletor, because he showed up at the end of the first issue, the very final page. There he is, and this whole issue then being what it was, it really was like a what? It was a very, very quick side turn into, this wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it was going to further more of like the legend of the sword and all that, like the last issue did.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for too.
But on the other side, like what David was saying, I kind of agree. Like you have, like my version of Skeletor is maybe a cross between 2000X and the original mini comics, because Skeletor to me is like the Joker. He's a great character that if you know too much about what his history is, it kind of ruins it. And this issue is that issue for me where I'm like, I hope that he just told this story as like a bedtime story more than it was, this is legit who I am, because it does make me just go like, I'm not a huge fan of when they make the villain too sympathetic and
Right.
then you feel bad that you're not rooting for them because they're misunderstood. To me, like Skeletor's tagline was always the Lord of Destruction. So when you have that tagline, you shouldn't be sympathizing with somebody like that. You should definitely go, I hope He-Man kicks his butt. And having it now, he has a wife and he has this baby daughter, and I was like, you're really not working for me on that level. Like, I liked it better when he was trying to steal the throne of Eternia from Randor in 2000X, or when he was the demon and we had just that much going for it. He's this demon that showed up on Eternia and now he's causing havoc. It's like that works. That works well as a bad guy, at least.
One of the big strengths of Masters of the Universe is it is a solid story about good versus evil. Plain and simple. And this kind of things really muddles that, to say, actually, the bad guy is really nice. In fact, he's got a heart of gold, and he's just doing all of this to save his family. You know,
I agree completely with that, actually. I mean, like I said, I like the first issue quite a lot, and then this one, I'm like, you're undercutting. You're making a sympathetic villain does not work for me on that level. Like you said, evil to me is this person shouldn't have. He should be ruthless, and he should be somebody that doesn't have the decency and kindness and some of that stuff. And like my version of Skeletor was always, he'd rather kill everybody in the village and walk away with fire going behind him than be a champion on his world. And like that whole thing was like, huh? Like, because then wouldn't he actually like sympathize with He-Man? Wouldn't maybe he want to join forces with He-Man and have him like come
Yeah.
over and help his people more than be constantly at odds with He-Man? Like so that it undercut a lot of what makes the bread and butter of Skeletor work as a villain.
yeah, exactly. And I really felt the whole time like, wait a minute, this is you're really making Skeletor into something he's not. This is not Skeletor at all. Stop it.
Well, that's and again, like the Christmas special
Yeah.
for Filmation, that drove me nuts. So it's like it's the same thing as that. It's like I don't want to see Skeletor, but I want to be evil. No, you just are. You don't need to say that. It's okay, Skeletor. We know you're evil. Just like you shouldn't
Yeah.
have a wife and kid, and we shouldn't have you as called the champion of your world and all that. No.
He was under the influence of the spirit of Christmas, is what I gathered from that.
Yeah.
And
But
he was saying like, I want to be evil, and I don't feel so good, and like
Not
because
nice.
yeah.
I'm not nice. Oh, I just saved this puppy and he's kissing my face, but I'm not nice to anyone else.
I really enjoyed that. I'm sorry. I just enjoyed the hell out of that Christmas special. And that's the time for it, right? Regular series, maybe not, but Christmas special, hell yeah.
This going back to the Killing Joke, is this the way to tie the Joker and Skeletor together? So those of us who only hear the Joker's voice in Skeletor in Revelation can say, okay, this is the Motu version of the Killing Joke without someone getting shot and someone getting raped.
well, that's a good point. I didn't think of that part actually, because it's been a couple of weeks since I listened to Mark Hamill. But yeah, there is like almost a wink, wink, nudge, nudge feeling to that now.
I mean, you do have to admit in the beginning with Triclops and Beastman talking about going to lunch after this meeting.
That was a really good joke. I like that.
I mean, that was like, okay, this is going to be a funny thing going on.
Well, it was great. It was kind of like it really reminded me of 2000X. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, they're used to this. They're used to their boss going off, being crazy, going off the rails, being all angry and stuff, and demanding that everybody, what was it? Evelyn said, like, Skeletor, like, we can't access this right now because of the sorceress's magic. And he's just like, no, kill them all. Bring the picture back.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
And I could see Triclops and Beastman, like, where's Mermaid with that crystal that he was supposed to get?
With that what?
The crystal, like the coriander crystal.
Oh, yeah.
Because you said 2000X, I can remember those two in the background just joking, like, God, won't we get here already so the boss can shut up?
Yeah, that's right. For the first episode, and then Merman goes and wipes it on Beastman. Beastman gets mad about it. Yeah.
I like that line too when he finally shows up with the crystal and it's all dirty, and Evelyn says something like 3 years to find it. You could have taken 3 minutes to clean it off.
Yep.
I'm seeing a. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that line about lunch. Like, I know you liked it, and that landed for me in like a, huh? And then the more that we're talking about that, I'm like, no, that actually does fit. So I really can't argue that one.
Again, it goes back to those who've been with the series for a long time or have read all the comic books where we've seen these little, okay, here's some little payoff for us old timers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the prequel series goes from here.
Well, on the September 8th, which is not that far away, is the next issue, and it has Evelyn's face right on the cover.
Right. Isn't that a cover with Evelyn and was it Horde Troopers or something like that?
Yep, the Horde Troopers and Skeletor.
Yeah, because he's now going to plan, in the next episode, no doubt he'll be planning his departure from the Horde. He's planning to betray the Horde.
The little synopsis that was in the regular book, I didn't check my Kindle version. It says, following the vicious Orlax attack on King Randor, He-Man learns the creature is linked to the origin of the Sword of Power and also his nemesis, who's hell-bent on... my mouth is broken. On Grayskull. Meanwhile, we learn the true origin of Evelyn and how she came to be under the evil and the powerful Skeletor. So I'd say the next one's going to be more on Evelyn than anything.
Sure. Yeah, that'll be a fun story. Yeah, I'm really hopeful for that one.
So I'd say the prequels are really giving us more of the background for the last 5 episodes. Figuring last issue was more on He-Man getting the Sword of Power. This is on Skeletor. Evelyn is next. Let's see how they change up her backstory. I'm sure they're not going to follow 2000X.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like the next episode or the next issue will be Evelyn telling us her origin story and how the evil part showed up. in her name. Because she even mentioned that in Revelation, that I added the evil part later and all that. It's like, now we'll know.
Right.
Now, I always thought her name was Evelyn. And that's going
Yeah.
back to the Mason Bible,
Yeah.
when her name was Evelyn Powers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, of course, they're changing up, things left and right. So it's hard to try to peg it into, try to attach it to like any particular canon.
Well, we are in a multiverse, so this is its own little universe.
Yeah, I guess so.
And probably until the story is fully told, it's going to have to remain that way. And when it's finally told, then we could see, okay, is it going to be more in line with MYP or Filmation? Is it a merge or separate altogether?
Oh, I'm definitely thinking even without the last 5 episodes, it's its own thing. I really don't think they're trying to, and I've said this before, it's not like the Star Wars movies where they have to make sure that everything fits within the established canon and chronological order, all the history and whatnot. It's not that we're going to find out that, oh, well, this takes place between the story of this and this. No, it's its own thing. It really is.
Yeah, I look at it the same way, because each time it's come out, there's always something that makes it its own version. Like, Filmation has something, New Adventures, 2000X, and I look at this as just it's cobbling together a lot of the parts of things that maybe some fans have always wanted to see, like the dual power sword thing, which for me that was like, yes, thank you, I've been waiting for that for years. But then there's going to be certain markers they're going to keep similar as like a Doctor Who would say, fixed points in time. So it's like you have, okay, Teela has to be the sorceress's daughter. He-Man has to invoke the power of Grayskull. Skeletor's got to be the bad guy, And beyond that, you can kind of like play a little bit within the sandbox to make it its own thing for a new generation or for a new telling of it.
Yeah, and but yeah, we'll see where it goes. And as I said, I really hope that the next 5 episodes will be much better received.
I think they will be.
Hope so, because really, with all this drama online and having to kind of be on the front line with the Facebook groups, it's just really wears you out. I haven't even bought the Masterverse action figures. Certainly not yet, because how could I even enjoy them with all this going on? If the next 5 episodes come out and everybody's happy and there's no more drama, knock on wood, then sure, yeah, great. But until then, I'm gonna focus my energies, and I'm gonna not put my time into something I can't enjoy.
Well, when I got back into Masters, I want to say it was 2016-ish, 2015, 2016. And obviously I was really late to the party on Classics, but I was doing the best I could to get all that. But I came back to Masters because the fandoms that I was interested in and involved in were all turning into what this has turned into. And it really just, because like one of my big ones was, I was really happy there was a Superman movie for the first time in years that was trying to go serious. And then I saw what we had and I'm like, oh, so this is this now this is this Superman. This isn't working for me. And then Batman v Superman, and I'm like, this is not working for me. I'm good. and like that sent me like way far away because I was just not happy that was going to be the version from there on out. And I remember it's like, and then He-Man and found out Matty Collector and all that stuff. And it's funny because it's like cyclical with me in the way that I am a fan of stuff where I'll get to a overabundance or a saturation point, and then there'll be something else that catches my eye, and then it's like a spin into that, but I'll still love what I love, but it'll be like different now. It'll be like I've learned something from it or whatever. And it's like this is that time for me where it's like I'm not gonna throw my hands up and say I'm done with He-Man, I'm done with Masters. But there is a certain amount of maybe you just need to not be as hardcore as you were because this is getting crazy now. Like it's like David said, there is a certain amount of you start hating the thing you love because you can't enjoy it the way that you had because there's too many negative things to it now. And I'm trying not to make it that way, but it really is hard if you're on social media, especially. It's really hard right now.
Just to be clear, I certainly have no hate for Master Universe. I'm just saying, like, how can I get excited about, toys, for example, when, for the show, when there's so much negativity and drama around it. So, and so, hey, if the next 5 episodes are fine, if they're well received and all this drama nonsense can cool off, then hey, then I'm sure that's something I can enjoy. But until then, I'm gonna look at other things like, hey, I can pick up some Transformer figures or Ninja Turtle figures, and I can enjoy that stuff without diving into a bunch of drama.
That's right. Well, talking about toys, any new origin figures coming?
Yeah, I mean, there are some websites that are listing figures that we've heard no announcements for, and there was some, supposedly leaked list, and we've had leaked lists before, so take that with a huge grain of salt. But yeah, there are indications of what's coming, and I'm sure that I should say that at PowerCon we're going to see a lot of new reveals. I'm really looking forward to it, and that's coming up fast too.
Less than a month.
Exactly. Yeah, and
fact,
Power.
It comes. PowerCon comes out on the 11th. The next issue of Revelation comic comes out on the 8th. We're talking about 3 weeks.
I love it. I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody and seeing what new toys they have for Origins. It'll be a good time. But
well, I know it showed the boxes for the PowerCon exclusives, and they look really nice.
Yeah, beautiful packaging. Yeah, it makes me wonder how big of a box is it going to be that we need to use to ship this stuff back home.
Better stop at a UPS or a Staples and get huge boxes, especially for the Horde Trooper one. It looks like the whole box itself is a big circle that opens up.
Right. Yeah, that looks pretty massive. And it looked like we're getting a furry Grizzlor figure. Pretty sure that wasn't sculpted.
I hope it wasn't. Grizzlor needs to be furry. So, like, Mothman needs to be flocked, Panther needs to be flocked.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're gonna have lots of toys to look at when we go to PowerCon.
You mean when you go to PowerCon?
Yeah.
Remember, Sean and I can't go this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys.
Just when you walk into the hotel, just think of me as the kid on the outside looking in, thinking it's Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm really hungry. Not to make it depressing, but
guys.
I really thought this was going to be my year with all this happening, and so next year hopefully will be my year. But yeah,
next year the two of us have to get out there together.
It's time. I mean, I've always wanted to go even before I got on podcasts about it. So and even my wife was doing the whole, you've been wanting to do this for so long, you better. And just timing. Even though I was planning toward it, there was some life stuff that came up, and I'm like, I just cannot, on good conscience, do it. And it's like, adulting, gotta love it. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, this is going to be the first PowerCon that I'm missing. I hate being an adult. I went to the power party before there was PowerCon.
Well, that's the one thing they should have done is like, I almost want to talk to somebody who worked for Filmation. If I go to PowerCon next year, just go, why wasn't there ever a moral to the story of saying, kids, sometimes you just can't go to PowerCon, but you know what? You can't give up hope. There's always next time. Until next time, kids. And it's like that would have made me feel like, you know what? He-Man at least understands. And it's like I could just see Val looking at me, going like, "You're an idiot." And I've been like, sometimes you need that moral support when you're an adult, you know. You got to have something.
Thinking, wait a minute. Wait, I don't forget those morals. We should have a moral put in there on the cake, going around the bottom.
Well, yeah, I'll be thinking of you guys when I'm at the con, and anything I can pick up, just let me know.
Just send photos. For me, just send photos. Just
sure.
Hey, Sean, check this out. I'll just be happy to see whatever they show. To feel like I'm in the loop that weekend. So.
Well, I'm excited that I'll be there with my wife, like I was last time. I mean, last time was crazy for me because, and my wife is the most amazing person on the earth. What nobody knew about was that I was under an extreme amount of pain, and really all I could take was some heavy Tylenol for it. And but yeah, my wife helped me to go get through it, and as soon as it really was miserable, but as soon as I got back, like the next day I was in surgery.
Wow.
So I can't, she's got the biggest heart, and it'll be amazing to share the experience again, but this, with her this year, but and we're actually, doing a whole week, this whole long trip down there, and that'll be very special.
Very cool. And hopefully you don't have the same problems. Hopefully you just come back and you're good to go afterwards.
Right. Yeah. But it's gonna be fun, and I do wonder though, when are the next episodes of Revelation coming out? Right before PowerCon, or are we gonna have to wait until like January? I keep hearing people say that the episodes are almost done.
I have a PowerCon. We might be seeing the trailer for the next 5. Because I've heard rumors end of October, November.
I've been hearing January, but I actually haven't been tracking it down as much. But I just kind of figured it's, close to 6 months until we see it from when it was released. So January would be about 6 months by that point.
Mm.
And that's the thing. I hate to be that guy, but if it's going to be that long, I doubt highly there'd even be a trailer unless they're going to reveal something that'll really shock people when they go. Because as we saw, like Netflix is really they don't do the trailers and put them out there that long before something comes. Yeah, even the teaser trailer was like what, about a month or a little over a month or so before about a month or two, I want to say. So yeah, it's like that's like Netflix's MO lately with how they promote their shows. So I do know that they're going to have Griffin Newman, who did Orko's voice, and Tiffany Smith, who did Andra's voice there. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully they'll do a little something of a Revelation panel and have.
I'd say so. I'd say there's going to be more announcements of who's going to be showing up. I'd say a little slow with the announcements of the guests. It could be with ticket sales. Who knows? Because COVID and the Delta variant, people are still, and then going to the airport, you don't know if you're going to even have a flight, even if you paid for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. It could be. I mean, maybe they'll do a digital, like a online thing where maybe they'll have some of the cast show up, not in person, but maybe on Skype or Zoom or something. Yeah, well, and have a panel. Because it would be kind of nice to go, hey, here's Sarah Michelle Gellar, here's Chris Wood, here's Tony Todd, here's Mark Hamill or whatever. And
Lena Headey, yeah.
Lena, if she was there, I'd probably be like, I don't remember English anymore. I just know hi, and that's about it. Because she's very easy on the eyes, as they say. So.
Yeah, I'm very curious how many people will actually be there. They have PowerCon's putting out almost daily announcements right now about all the different guests, like they did last year. So yeah, we'll see. But
every year they do
that. Yeah. And but yeah, so we've got the Revelation comic books to enjoy, and there are 2 new sticker books for Revelation. One of them is being offered as like this special deal, like they're only making 100 of them or something like that, and that's through one website. I think it's called Dark Sticker or something like that. And then there's the one from Panini, which on their Brazilian website they're offering. So between those and the Field of Eternia game, which has its Kickstarter basically right now, on
Games. It's fully funded.
Yeah, absolutely. But between the sticker books and the Field of Eternia, I'm thinking this is what the rest of the world usually feels like with Master of the Universe stuff. Like, why can't we get it?
Well, we are even getting another book, and this time it's from DK Publishing, and then sort of like a character encyclopedia, not as big as the Dark Horse one. That's supposed to be coming out in Christmas because they're already taking pre-orders on Amazon for it.
Right, absolutely, and I can put a link to the video or to the book in this video's description. I've seen some screenshots that are available now, actually, in the Amazon listing. When you go there, it'll say like, "Oh, the front page is coming soon." But if you just go to the next image, you'll see they have actually quite a few. I think it'll look really nice.
Yeah, because it has. I remember looking at Tela's page where it looks like they have a little bit of her concept art besides her picture. I couldn't read what was written. Even zooming in, it got just too blurry.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel for the newer fans and the younger fans, this is going to be a great reference for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we need stuff like this that's readily available for this new generation of Masters fans.
And especially, I also saw online what the He-Man and Skeletor look like for the other Masters of the Universe show that's going to be on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I mean, I'm not being judgmental, but it's more of like a robot style. They're very funky, the toys. So I'm wondering what that cartoon's going to look like. Remember, all we had was the title shot. But
Right.
there's supposed, I believe it was two different He-Man, because He-Man had a red outfit on,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had Skeletor. So maybe at PowerCon, they'll be showing that instead, giving us a sneak preview of that new series that they've been saying was supposed to come out this year too, and showing us the toys.
I feel bad for that series because that series feels like the redheaded stepchild even more than New Adventures. Like nobody's really talking about that one, and it's just kind of out there. And yeah, like initially the toy images I saw, I was like, I don't think I'm not worried about collecting that line because it doesn't feel like it's aimed at what I would like to have personally. But I am very curious to see what the stories will be like on that show because I am of the mentality that it looks more technological. So there is this feeling of okay, so they're gonna maybe go the route.
The way the toys look, it almost looks like it's more for preschoolers.
Well, yeah,
And really,
those. Yeah, and I that's kind of why it's like for me, I don't see myself buying those, but I keep feeling like they're trying with that one to try to bridge the gap between kids and technology, the way that kids are so immersed in that. So I think they're going to probably have technology being like in Thor, they said magic is technology that you just don't understand, basically. I
right.
do feel that is how they're going to sell it in that one. And honestly, because that one has the least amount of anxiety, stress, and hatred and drama, I'm actually more than happy to welcome that to just have something new and go, hey, it's this. And if it doesn't work in that way, okay, like it wasn't any skin off my nose if I watched it. So we'll see. It's a curiosity of mine at this point.
It's going to be interesting seeing a bunch of adults getting super pissed off at what's intended to be a show for little kids. It's I feel like this is just another Netflix show for people to complain about, and and as I said, it is, and like we've said, it is for little kids. It's not for us. Revelation was supposed to be for us.
Mm-hmm.
She-Ra was not supposed to be for us, and neither will this. And so, good.
No, it's
Hey,
supposed to be for a new generation.
yeah. So Netflix, good luck. I hope it's successful. And that's the end of my interest in that show.
The way that you worded that, it was very much a peace out, drop the mic. I mean, that's how,
It is. It is.
and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I'm not even remotely trying to, I'm not trying to ruffle your feathers on it because I get
Sure.
it, and the amount of stuff like you said, you've been on the front lines. I haven't been on the front lines like you've been on the front lines. I completely understand. So for me, like I said, it's just the curiosity aspect. I'm not looking for it to be amazing. I'm also looking for it to at least be like, what are you doing with it this time? That's the thing. And if it doesn't appeal, like Shira, I sat through it. I wasn't a fan, but I sat through it just out of more curiosity. And the stuff that I was actually like, okay, what's the mystery there? No payoffs. I was like, well, that's a whole bunch of 5 seasons that I didn't need to watch. Then okay, thanks, and that's how I'll always look at that one. I'm like, they all these buildups and no payoffs, at least not the ones I wanted to see. So
Sure.
yeah, and hopefully this one does not go that direction.
I don't know how many of you know our favorite sculptors are producing their first video game. The Four Horsemen have a Kickstarter program for their Mythic Legion, and they have a video. It's right now fully funded, but they're still going because it's fully funded in 24 hours. And they're hoping to launch it next October. The video game will be available for both your regular console, your regular PCs, Android and iPhone compatible too. And one of the reach goals will be making it compatible with, I believe it's Xbox, they said.
Okay. I think it's wonderful for Four Horsemen Toy Design to be taking this leap. I mean, they've had to, they're not Mattel, they're not Hasbro, they're doing this all themselves to try to market, to sell these Mythic Legions figures, and they're gorgeous toys. Everything they put out is amazing, but they don't have the same advertising power, the same staffing power that these big toy companies have, and so I commend them for taking this giant leap forward with investing in the production of a video game based on their toy line.
Yeah, I'm somebody, you guys heard me like not too long ago, one of our last episodes, I started saying I actually started getting into that line within the last couple of months, and man, am I stupid for not jumping in that earlier. So I mean, from both a wallet standpoint as well as just an overwhelming, like there's so many things to enjoy, and to me, this is the step that I kept saying, and I know Masters has had, like Tappers of Grayskull, and they had another phone app game and all that stuff. But like this is definitely a way of bridging that gap to people that typically wouldn't go to toys. They want to see the game and they want to get involved in that, and that's their world. Just like people like me, I would love to play a game, or I'd love to have the toys, and there's other people just the toys. And congratulations on the fully funded in 24 hours part. And the other thing that's really cool too, that I liked from a collecting standpoint, that I wanted to say is, if you want to get in on this Kickstarter, for somebody like me who just joined in the last few months, you're able to then get some figures at good prices that you would have to pay $200 to $300 a piece for usually. If you go on eBay in the secondary market, for the one backing that you can do, you can get it's Attila and Gorgo Aetherblade, who are two of the main characters in the line, and they were in the original Kickstarter, and they already have been reoffered. Yeah, and they've already been reoffered as well. And so even the All Stars versions go for $200+, and you can get a 2.0 version of them now on this Kickstarter if you're interested in the toy line. And those are two great characters that are like big names for Mythic Legions. And that alone, I was like, you got my money based on that. That's amazing, because I wasn't interested in paying those secondary market prices on some of those. And they're designed even more detailed and with different sculpting, different shields and all sorts of stuff. So it's like you're getting something special by backing the Kickstarter, even going that direction, as well as a game. So there you have it.
Oh, and that's like He-Man and Skeletor right there. You know.
Yes, exactly. That's a perfect way of saying it. Thank you, David. for Mythic Legions, that would be like your He-Man and Skeletor going head to head, basically. Yes.
Well, Mythic Legions, they had it in mind to blend in with your classics. That's why you will see a lot of Masters of the Universe influenced characters throughout Mythic Legions too.
Oh yeah, and don't get me started on those. Like, quick little. I will try to not to make this very long, but Rob Bass from Roast Google Dinner, he one night he posted a whole bunch of figures that he was selling for Mythic Legions, $50 a piece. Okay, not eBay prices, $50 a piece. He had Adamon, who's the He-Man homage character, and he had Keltis, who's Skeletor's homage character. $50 plus $15 shipping one night, right? And I found another character that I really wanted to get, because I liked Rhaegar. He looks like Warduke in Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm like, oh, if Rhaegar's available, he's like, he's yours. I paid him, and that was fine. I thought, oh, Adamon, Keltis, I can get them eventually. I just want to get Rhaegar. Then I saw the secondary market prices. Oh dear God!
Yeah.
So the thing that they say is they're never offering those again. So if you get in on the PowerCon stuff, that's how you're getting these characters at this point. So good luck with that if you like the Masters and you're just getting into the line. It's definitely an interesting adventure to get some of these figures. So, but Mossman and the Stinkor version, the Stinkor homages are now available through the PowerCon stuff, and Big Bad Toy Store still has it too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully there are just a ton of figures to choose from. I mean, there's no, I mean, if you're a completist, stay far away from this toy line. Yeah, but otherwise, these are crafted by the same fine folks that brought us the Masters of the Universe Classics toy line.
And 2000X too. They were the backbone behind that.
Trust me, I got to see some of the prototypes that they were only selling at their toy show the one year. I'm like, I fell in love with this one dragon, and they weren't mass producing it. They only had one for $500. I'm like, damn, I don't have that. I want to take it home now, though.
Well, that's. I was trying to get into them, and I didn't know how to get into them, because my biggest problem was I need a point character to get into something, and then once I find that character, usually I'm an easy sell by that point. Rhaegar ended up being that by thankfully, again, thank you Rob Bass for that. That was an amazing deal he did that night. But the other one that would have gotten me into it, no matter what, is the Aether character that they have right now. That he's like the god of war. Mm-hmm. Like the minute I saw him, and he's got Aethon, his horse, and it looks like the horse's mane is on fire with the coloring and the paint.
Oh, right.
So the minute I saw that, I'm like, you've got me whether I knew it or not. Like that's pulling me in whether, and from that point on, it was like that figure or getting the rig or one or the other was going to be like, yeah, you're at least interested in this now. So
you had me at fire horsey.
Yeah, exactly. The minute I saw that horse, I'm like, the dude with the flaming head's kind of cool, but that horse is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was collecting Mythic Legions at the start, and I mean, you know, like he said, it's the secondary market's crazy. So you know, you can try to keep up, and they do offer reissues of figures periodically, but You really have to be on your toes and know what's going down. Otherwise, you're going to be, you're going to have some big holes in your collection.
Definitely. I mean, for me, getting into it, the main thing that I'm trying to focus on right now is anytime they do a new pre-order, jump in on the pre-order. If you haven't gotten into the line, jump in on the pre-order the next time it comes around. Don't worry about the secondary market because that's where I'm screwing myself up.
Well,
get in on the pre-orders and go from there because that's the lowest amount you're going to have these figures coming at you unless somebody really kind is out there and they're just like, I'm good, I'm going to let people have them and I'm not going to rake them over the coals on the prices at least.
Yeah. And bring big pockets because these mythic legions are like, okay, how much am I supposed to spend all at once on this stuff? Oh my God.
Yeah. But one other thing about the game that I saw, because I watched the Mythic Conversations video, and one of the things they did on that was they showed one of the big points about the brand that a lot of people love is the customizability of these figures. So you can get like a Legion builder, which is a less painted version, and you can just swap parts, and they're modular like that. You could swap almost everything of these characters to make a new character. And a lot of people in the Mythic Legions community, they're like, I don't really play video games, but the thing I love about this game that makes me need it now is I could actually start going in and customizing a figure without having to customize it by hand first. I can look at the figure I created, and then I know what I'm doing when I get the figure and do it for real. And I'm like, that's one of the coolest things. So even if you're not a game player, there's reasons to have as, like you can use it as a reference even to enjoy. So it's you can use it as a tool, and it's like in design and in comics and illustration, they always tell you do thumbnails before you go in and do the actual job, and that's kind of your thumbnail to then enjoy doing a customizing and not having to go, what color would look good here or whatever. So I thought that was a great plus to it as well.
Brilliant. It's absolutely just a well thought out game for sure.
I'd like to thank you for joining us for another episode of the Council of First Ones. Next time we'll pick up on our Mythic Legions and it will be our pre-PowerCon episode. So until next time, good journey.
And this is David Clark, owner of adultcollector.org. I want everyone to go visit the 47,000 member He-Man and the Masters of the Universe fans group and check out the new home of the Origins fans group on Facebook as well. And until next time, good journey.
And this is Sean Scavarna. If you want to have a little more fun, Matthew Deutsch and I do Legends of Grayskull podcast. We talk about the history, the mystery, the magic, and mythology of Masters of the Universe and She-Ra. So, once again, guys, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's always fun. A little mini PowerCon during the weekend.
Yeah.
And until next time, good journey, everybody.